Daddy's home, more like Daddy's gone political. The backlash begins. The internet exploded. Alex Cooper, the queen of Call Her Daddy, had invited Kamala Harris onto the podcast. Fans were here for it. The comment section was a war zone. "Unfollowing," screamed one fan. "Stick to sex advice," demanded another. The message was clear. Politics had no place in their safe space. Cooper, known for her raw and unfiltered conversations about dating and relationships, had clearly misjudged her audience. This wasn't some juicy celebrity gossip. This was, and it felt like a betrayal. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Fans felt misled. They came to Call Her Daddy for laughs, for advice, for a break from the real world. Instead, they got a political lecture. The dream was dead. This was a PR nightmare. Propaganda or politics. Fans cry foul over Harris interview. The interview itself only fueled the fire. Fans accused Cooper of lobbing softball questions and avoiding tough topics. It felt staged, rehearsed, like watching a politician read from a teleprompter. Where was the real talk? Where were the hard-hitting questions Call Her Daddy was known for? Many saw it as blatant propaganda, an attempt to make Harris, a deeply unpopular figure among young people, seem relatable and cool. It backfired spectacularly. Instead of coming across as authentic, Harris came across as out of touch. Fans felt used, like their favorite podcast had sold out to the political machine. This wasn't about empowering women anymore. This was about pushing an agenda, and they weren't buying it. The damage was done. Immigration, disasters, and Doug the elephants in the room. What made the interview even more infuriating was what discussed. Fans pointed to glaring omissions, like the Biden administration's handling of the border crisis and the recent Hurricane Helene. Where was the empathy for those struggling? And then there was the Doug problem. Doug Emhoff, Harris's husband, had been accused of domestic violence just days before the podcast dropped. Yet Cooper never brought it up, not a single question. The silence was deafening. Fans were outraged. How could Cooper, a self-proclaimed feminist, ignore such serious allegations? It reeked of hypocrisy. It felt like they were being told what to think, what to care about. This wasn't journalism. This wasn't even good entertainment. Section 4. Silence speaks volumes. The unasked questions about Emhoff. The decision to avoid the Emhoff allegations backfired spectacularly. It made Cooper look complicit, like she was protecting Harris. The lack of transparency was astounding. Fans felt gaslighted. How could they trust a podcast that cherry-picked its narratives, that silenced uncomfortable truths? The interview felt less like a conversation and more like a carefully constructed PR stunt. Even those who might have been sympathetic to Harris were left feeling uneasy. The lack of journalistic integrity was impossible to ignore. Cooper had crossed a line, and the internet was ready to hold her accountable. Section 5. Harris on Call Her Daddy. Domestic violence, Roe v. Wade, and fan reactions. So, what did Harris actually talk about? She stuck to her talking points: domestic violence, child sexual assault, and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Important issues, no doubt, but the delivery felt hollow, robotic. Fans weren't buying it. They saw right through the carefully crafted persona. The comments were brutal. "Is she reading from a script? This is so awkward. Someone get her a glass of water, she's parched." The interview was a masterclass in how to connect with young people. It was tone-deaf, out of touch, and ultimately, a huge missed opportunity. Section 6. Call Her Daddy, from sex talk to political hot seat. Call Her Daddy was built on a foundation of honesty, humor, and a healthy dose of raunchiness. It was a place where women could let their guard down, talk about their experiences, and feel seen. The podcast's success was undeniable. It had become a cultural phenomenon. But the Harris interview threatened to unravel it all. It exposed a fundamental misunderstanding of the audience and their expectations. The backlash was a stark reminder that politics is a dangerous game, especially when you're playing it in someone else's sandbox.